Virtua Cop is a light gun game for the Sega Saturn, a conversion of the popular groundbreaking arcade hit produced by Sega AM2 led by Yu Suzuki. Two cops, Michael Hardy and James Cools, are tracking down the gun-running crime syndicate EVL Inc. Being a light gun game, you can naturally use a light gun to play. The game does support the Saturn mouse, or if you don't have either of those peripherals, you can use a controller. I personally did not test the controller method, but I hear it works fairly well, which is usually not the case for light gun games using a controller. I myself prefer to use the mouse, and make sure to go into the settings and change the reload button to the middle button on the Sega Saturn mouse. I personally had a hard time reloading with the default setting. The reload button was on the third mouse button, so I had to use both my index and middle finger to play the game, which personally I'm just not used to. I'm not a big PC gamer. Maybe that's something that people that have played video games with the mouse for years and years are more acclimated to, but I myself found it challenging to reload with that setting. But once I set the reload button to the middle click, I had absolutely no problems with the game at all and preferred it to the light gun. The light gun I was using was not fairly accurate, but that's just a problem you run into with a lot of light gun. They're not perfectly accurate. The mouse is very accurate, and I would recommend going that way. If you play through the game in order, playing beginner, medium, and expert, you will unlock the true final boss of the game, which you've seen throughout the first two levels, flying around in a helicopter. Once you beat the actual final boss, you'll unlock a ranking mode, which gives you a limited amount of hit points, and you play for high scores. Once you're out of hit points, there are no continues, you get your high score, and that is it. Shooting enemies in the hand and non-lethally disabling them gives the player more points, as well as getting a perfect bullseye in the center of the aiming reticule that appears on screen will also deal more points. There is a meter in the top left corner. Filling up that meter will earn you point multipliers. You do lose your multiplier if you get hit or if you shoot an innocent civilian. This is one of, if not the first 3D light gun game, so when it was first released, the novelty of seeing enemies react to where they were shot was pretty impressive. This was kind of groundbreaking and set the standard for 3D light gun games that came out after it. Being interactive to the level to where you can shoot out the glass was kind of a neat novelty back then. So it feels kind of archaic now. It's a very simple game, but it did set the standard for games that came out after. Depending on how into light gun games you are, really determines how much replay value you're going to get out of this. I myself do enjoy light gun games, so occasionally this is something I pick up and go through, spend a day or two messing around, shooting some bad dudes, racking up high scores.